Welcome to the prediction show. So, after I predicted Charles Leclerc to come 9th in the Silverstone Grand Prix and he won the race, may as well try again for Spa. Here's what I think. That is right, welcome back to another Zander race predictions. This week, the F1 circus heads to the Belgian Grand Prix! Now, it is a shame that a good track like Spa, a very good track, a historic track, a great track, one of the ones you originally think of when you think of Formula One, is in fact going to be a rotational circuit. That's what they decided, the FIA, the Spa, Imola, Barcelona, Catalonia, is going to be rotational circuits. This is, I believe that Spa is not on the calendar for 2028, I believe it's 2029, although I might have got that the wrong way around. But yeah, I can't believe such a historic track like Spa, one of the staples of Formula One, is going for tracks like the Madrid and other money-hungry street circuits like that. Whoever can pay top dollar, doesn't matter how bad the track is, because, well, we all know how the Madrid is going to go. I'll insert a quick clip.
It cannot be, Ricky. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, this is going to be bad. Spa, almost 4.5 miles, 4.35 miles, 19 corners. It's a very power-hungry track, Spa. Usually Ferrari dominated because of power units. Ferrari have been very successful around Spa. Aston Martin, the Honda engine, not looking like they're going to be enjoying it much. There's already been comparisons. Are Aston Martin faster than F2? Are F2 faster than Aston Martin? There's one thing that we can say for sure. Aston Martin will completely lock out the final 2 rows of the grid. And that's got to be an achievement. Not everyone can do it. Someone's got to be there. The fact that they can, win Formula 1.9 because they're only a little bit quicker than F2 is, we've got to congratulate them on that. Wish them luck for their next endeavours in the championship. And let's hope that at one point they can take home P20 and 21 and leave P22 to the Cadillacs. Before we begin this year's predictions, let's remind ourselves what happened last year. Oscar Piastri took the win. Lando Norris P2, 3 seconds behind. And if you remember correctly, this was the race Lando Norris sort of crumbled. He ends up winning the championship in 2025. But wow, oh wow, he made it difficult for himself this weekend. Last year, he went off at Pouhon a few times to try to chase down Oscar Piastri. He had the ability to win this race. Had it not been the fact that he liked going off the track every now and then and couldn't keep it on the road, sliding everywhere, he was just off it, and Oscar took a quite comfortable win in the end. Charles Leclerc finished P3, 20 seconds behind Oscar Piastri, 17 behind the McLaren of Lando Norris. No one could touch McLaren last year. It was a pretty done deal. He was going to win that race, especially with Red Bull still not clicking into gear. Red Bull only really clicked into gear after the summer break, and Spa's before it, so they weren't close to challenging. But let's see what may happen this year. Hopefully it won't be a complete bore fest with the 2 Mercs at the front, because they look like the dominant package, although Ferrari are bringing upgrades, so who knows what that will throw into the mix. We'll find out sort of after FP1 and FP2, sort of how the running's going based on driver feedback. But for what we can expect now, Mercedes 1, I'd say, is the best team, then Ferrari 2 going into this weekend. Last year, Albon finished P6, a very, very strong showing from him. If he can repeat the same this year, it'll be a complete turn of form, because he's been nowhere near it last year. Obviously, Albon kept behind Hamilton quite well. That defence was it was a very, very good defence, quite memorable for Albon fans like myself, because we haven't seen it this year. We got to see it quite a bit last year, not much this year. And obviously, looking at the other top drivers in the big teams, Isaac Hadjar at the moment. We don't know what his pace is really like around Spa, because last year his race was plagued with issues. there wasn't too much he could do. He finished last. He was the only one to be lapped. He had a pretty terrible time last year out. For this weekend, it looks like it's going to be a dry weekend, unfortunately. Wet weather around Spa would be what this regulation would need. It would especially help the Red Bulls, considering Max Verstappen's had rear wing issues. A wet race could help him out quite a bit if that rear wing's not allowed to open for much more. That would keep his car on track. That would do him some good. However, it's looking like it will unfortunately be dry. Rain's only likely Friday, which is it's not sprint weekend this weekend like it was last year. So it will stay dry. Fairly hot, 25 degrees C on the Sunday. Hopefully there's a bit of drizzle thrown into the mix at some point this weekend. My predictions for qualifying on Saturday. This is being filmed on Tuesday, so if there's any developments going on, like wet weather or anything like that, I can't predict that now. This is being recorded long in advance. Unforeseen stuff like Lando Norris's grid penalty being announced on the Thursday. Thank you, Lando, Zach Brown and everyone at the MTC for ruining my predictions. Appreciate it. Much love. In P22 and 21, I have, surprise, surprise, the Aston Martins. Alonso out-qualifying Stroll. Alonso's never been bad around this circuit. Well, I don't see Stroll competing with the Aston Martin clipping issues. They could be locking out the back row. It'll be a miracle if they can even finish this race. P20, Bottas. Enough said, really. I don't think he'll have the pace, although I think the Ferrari engine will be there. P19, Ocon. I don't think he'll have the pace either, similar to Bottas. 18, Perez. Okay, qualifying. It's not P20 and P19 for Cadillac. They'll take it. P17, Lindblad. He has been fairly good around Spa in junior categories. I just think there'll be some issues. It's a long lap. I think they might get into some traffic issues. I don't know. I just don't see him qualifying particularly well. He might do, completely prove me wrong, but I don't see it. P16, Albon. He's not had a good qualifying really once this year. Nothing's been spectacular. 15, Hulkenberg. 14, Behrman. 13, Sainz. All are just cars that are really, really not... They're not awe-inspiring cars at the moment, are they, any of these? And I don't see them doing any better than they are at the moment. P12, Colapinto. I've got the Alpine. Got the Alpines doing quite well. I think Colapinto will be there or thereabouts on pace, but I don't think he'll make Q3. So that is P12 to P22. Colapinto, Sainz, Behrman, Hulkenberg, Albon, Lindblad, Perez, Ocon, Bottas, Alonso and Stroll. Now let's get into the top 11. 11th, I've got a surprise. I've got Isaac Hadjar being knocked out in Q2. He had issues last year in last year's race. I can see some more issues coming this year. We don't know what his proper speed is around Spa. So I can just see something going wrong. And also we don't know how good that Red Bull's going to be. Obviously it's a quick car. But I just think he might get a bit unlucky here with either track limits or the car's going to be a bit pointy or traffic on his lap. I don't think he'll make it into Q3. P10 on the grid for Sunday's race. I've got Gabby Bortoletto. Did well out last race. I think he'll carry that form into this race. I don't see a reason why Audi can't be up there. Their engine, although it's not the best, I think their car is... It's an okay car. P10, it's definitely possible. P9, Pierre Gasly. Continuing good form. Just P9 Gasly sounds about right for Spa. Obviously Alpine using the Mercedes engine. There won't be an engine power deficit for the first time for an Alpine team, or Alpine or Renault team, for quite some time now around Spa, so they could be on for a good result on the weekend. P8, Liam Lawson. He's been pretty much P8, P9, P10 every single race. A few P6s and P7s in there, but it's about where you'd expect him to be. He's been there all through the season. There's no reason why he can't be now, although Red Bull's power, they've got the best combustion engine, don't they? But their battery's a bit less. So that could be an issue because Spa's not really going to be a heavy recharge. There's no big braking zones really, apart from turn 1's quite big. Other than that, there's no real big braking zones. It's all high to medium speed corners really. And they're going to be hoping some recharge mid corners with some lift and coast. You'd imagine that would be quite necessary this weekend. P7, Norris. Okay race last year. Lots of mistakes. I think that won't be mistakes this weekend. They'll even out. He's a lot less pressured now to do well as Norris after winning his championship. That McLaren is so hit or miss every weekend. I've got him P7. P6, George Russell. He's not shown pace in Silverstone. He's not shown pace in half the races this year. What else was there? There was Silverstone, and he got a podium, although he was slower than Kimi. Austria, he was... We don't know what the pace was, but the pace he produced was not fantastic. We don't know if he was managing or not. Monaco, there was no pace. Barcelona, slower than Kimi again, got beaten by Kimi. I don't see where the pace is going to come from for George at the moment. He's got himself into a bit of a rut, even though he is picking up points and closing that gap to Kimi. The gap's now only 25 points. I don't see where the change is coming from. He needs to pick up a few tenths a lap, and it's not happening. He's sort of just finding himself in these higher positions because of everyone else is retiring or having issues themselves. P5, Piastri. He likes Spa, good round Spa. McLaren, meh. P5. Verstappen, P4. I've got him having a good qualifying, despite the fact we don't know how his how his rear wing is going to perform. We don't know if Red Bull have figured it out or not. There's an investigation into Macarena wings, isn't there? That's been Verstappen's issue, whether or not they're going to be outlawed or the rules on them. But they're not changing for this weekend. So P4, I think, for Max and the Red Bull, about as good as it may get. He might sneak a P3. But I think second row of the grid, more than good enough. He'll take that. P3, Lewis Hamilton. I've got the Ferraris to be quite strong around Spa. Good battery. Not the best engine, but Ferrari always do well around Spa. I would never rule them out around Spa. I just think they'll have something, especially with the upgrades they've got coming apparently. Upgraded Ferrari, I don't see why they can't. They won the last race. They won Barcelona, which Barcelona does have quite a long straight, as Barcelona's also quite power hungry. Don't see why they can't do it now. P2, Antonelli. He's had pace every weekend. Why wouldn't he? That's all. Although I think the controversial thing about this list is not putting in P1, because in P1 I have taking pole position at the 2026 Spa-Francorchamps Grand Prix. I have Charles Leclerc taking pole, following his win in Silverstone. I've got him following it up with a pole position in the next race. I don't know about that one. Consistency's always been a bit of an issue with Charles, but I just see it happening. I think he'll get it done. I predicted him to do bad last time, and he won the race. I think he really could get pole. It might be a bit of hopium, it might be a bit of copium, but I think he can do it. And because I want to see this Mercedes Ferrari title fight that we were promised in 2017. We were promised it in 2018, and they were always cut short because of Ferrari's errors. We were promised it in 2019 as well, cut short. The 2020 Ferrari we don't talk about. What an absolute dumpster fire of a car that was. They went from being P2 in the championship, although with an illegal engine that was settled out of court, to a honking P6. Charles Leclerc driving miracles out of it machine. Charles Leclerc on pole for the 2026 Spa Grand Prix. I want to see it. Okay, so my OBS glitched and the recording for when I filmed my top 10 has been lost, so ignore the change of clothes. This is being filmed on an editing day, so I can only apologise. But anyway, getting into it, going bold. I'm going to start in P9. P9, I've got Gabriel Bortoleto. I think it's going to be a strong weekend from him. I didn't predict him to have a good one in Silverstone, and he did. I predicted him to have a good one in Austria, and he didn't. Hopefully this time I'll be right, because he seems to be doing whatever I say he won't so far this season. So hopefully he'll live up to the word I'm giving him. P8, Pierre Gasly. I think that's where I've put him to qualify. I think I've put him to qualify P9. I think it'll be an okay race. I think Alpine will finally reap the rewards of not being a Renault engine. And I think they'll finally enjoy having some proper power down the straights around Spa. But I don't see them getting any higher than 8th, really. P7, Liam Lawson. I might just rename the channel to a Liam Lawson Glaze account, because at this point this is all it is. He's having an unbelievable season and he's not doing anything to make me predict him lower. So I can't predict him lower. I think he's going to finish in 7th. 6th, fellow Southern Hemisphere Oceania boy, Oscar Piastri, I've got in 6th. I don't have the McLaren car being particularly fantastic, although they might. We don't know of McLaren, that's the thing. They're so hit and miss depending on what circuit they're at. You just never know. They fix the reliability issues, but we still just don't know where their car is actually at in comparison to the rest of the top 4 teams. Because it's either them, Ferrari or Red Bull who turn it on and bring the fight to the Mercedes. P5, I've got George Russell, though I've just checked I've put P4, and due to his engine penalty, he's definitely not going to finish 4th. So drop everyone down. So Bortoleto, I'm still having Bortoleto and Gasly 9 and 8. Liam Lawson, I'm still having 7th. 6th, Lando Norris. 5th, Oscar Piastri. 4th, I'm having George Russell. He hasn't shown pace really, like I said earlier in the qualifying predictions. He hasn't really shown pace much this season. He's shown flashes and glimpses of it, but not enough to make me, especially in the race, not enough to make me predict him any higher, provided the cars let him finish. Because in P3, I have who I predicted on pole, Charles Leclerc, to not finish on pole. Or not finish P1 rather. I've got him finishing 3rd. His race pace has been, in Silverstone it was good. He had very, very good race pace. Much stronger than Lewis, which was a surprise to most. But over the course of the season, his race pace has been maybe not as good as Lewis's. You look at Barcelona, although that was affected by other issues, still was nowhere near the pace. Because in P2, I have his teammate, Lewis Hamilton. I think he's going to put a much better weekend together now than he did in Silverstone. I think Spa's one of them will suit the Ferraris a lot more. I think both him and Charles will be quite close to Kimi. I don't see Kimi being 20 seconds out in the lead like Charles was pre-safety car in Silverstone. I see the Ferraris with their engine upgrades being very, very competitive. Well, not with their car upgrades and with their engine being fairly strong. Although their smaller turbo means they're good on the starts and worse on the straights, I think they'll still be quite handy around here, because the Ferrari always do go well round Spa. There's no reason to predict otherwise. So P1, winning the Belgian Grand Prix in 2026, I have Kimi Antonelli. Surprise, surprise, what a boring prediction. He's going to bounce back. His bad luck's got to end at some point, just like George's did with George's win round Austria. His bad luck will probably end for a race and come back again, because that's the Mercedes way so far. But I just think he's going to string together a good weekend. Spa's one of those where you look at it and it is probably a track that will suit Kimi's driving, suit his style, suit the car. I don't see anything other than Kimi win. So my winner is Kimi Antonelli. But an even bigger story that I'm predicting, because I haven't revealed who I've got in P10. In P10, I have, for the first time this season, for the first points in this team's history, Sergio Perez to finish P10 in the Spa Grand Prix. I think it's going to be a wild race. I think there's going to be a lot of up and downs for a lot of the drivers. I think a lot's going to happen. I can see him sneaking a P10. It's never going to work, this prediction, but in the case of absolute madness, here's my one surprise prediction for this race. I had to go bold. I had to do something sort of crazy. So Cadillac's first points and Sergio Perez, P10. The Mexican media would love it. I'm sure everyone else would love it as well. But just for a bit of Mexico F1 glory again, just for a bit of something for them to get excited about, because they've not had it in a while. Perez obviously hasn't been at the heights he was. They need a jump that isn't from the junior series with the light drivers like Villa Gomez. Mexican F1 needs a boost, and this will be the race that happens. Sergio Perez, P10, a very, very good surprise. You heard it here first. Obviously, you've now just seen my predictions. Let's get into the best driver of the weekend, the worst driver of the weekend, the best team and the worst team, not in terms of who wins and who loses, that sort of thing, more of who exceeds expectations. So obviously, my great driver of the weekend is going to be Sergio Perez. I'm predicting he'll get his first points for Cadillac and Cadillac's first points in F1 in a bit of a wild race on the Sunday. That we just see him scrape a P10, similar to Alonso in Monaco. The scenes in Mexico when this happens, it will go off. That'll probably be one of Perez's best ever drives in Formula 1, maybe just behind Sakir 2020, if he does pull off points with this Cadillac around Spa. So that has been my predictions for this year's Spa Grand Prix. Let me know how you think I did down in the comments. Let me know what you think will happen. Personally, I think I'm not far off. Maybe the Perez shout is a bit off, but I don't think I'm far away at all in what we could easily see happen. If you've enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Hope to see you in the next one. Catch my video coming Monday, Tuesday next week to see my reaction to my predictions and see how well I actually did. Alright, see you in the next one. Bye bye.